Hello. So I recently made a video about Gary Johnson and why I don't support him. And Gary Johnson supporters took it upon themselves to inform me why I was mistaken and why Gary Johnson is good. So I've decided that they're correct. They're absolutely correct. So I present to you their powerful reasons that persuaded me. Here we are. Here are their reasons, directly from Gary Johnson supporters themselves. 7 reasons why you should vote for Gary Johnson. That's right. Reason number 1, of course, is that he's better than Trump. I mean, we all know Trump sucks, right? I mean, you don't want Trump to win, do you? Of course not. And Gary Johnson is better than Trump. So, you should vote for Gary Johnson. Now, I know that this sounds like a lesser of evil argument. And it comes very, very close to being one, but it is not. See, because Trump really sucks. And Gary Johnson isn't that bad. So, you see, it's totally different from the lesser of evil arguments that we've been hit with for, God, at least 20 years. This is totally different. Meanwhile, reason number 2 is that you get to make dick jokes. That's right. Did you know that Johnson is a euphemism for a penis? Well, there you go. Have fun with it. Instead of feeling the burn, you can feel the Johnson. So there you go. You've got a built-in dick joke. And, I mean, really, that's all you need for a president. I mean, if you've got a good dick joke, then you're good to go. That's it. You don't need anything else. Who cares about policy? You can make dick jokes. Fuck policy. Policy doesn't matter. Not if you've got good dick jokes. Reason number 3, of course, is that he is better than the other options. And I know that sounds similar to saying that he's better than Trump, but you see, this is vague. This doesn't enumerate who the other options are, so it applies to any other options that present themselves, such as Jill Stein, or Castle of the Constitutionalist Party. See, this one applies to all of them. All of them are really bad, and he's better than them. And again, I know that sounds a lot like a lesser of evils argument, but see, we're encouraging you to vote for a third party, so it's totally different. It doesn't count as a lesser of evil argument because he's a third party candidate. It's totally different. Reason number 4 is that 4 years under Gary Johnson would be better than 4 years under Clint Trump. And see, I know that's similar to reasons number 1 and reasons number 3, but this doesn't include Jill Stein and David Castle. So it's particularly useful against people who only care about the main 2 parties and who recognize that Hillary and Trump are both just fucking awful. Oh my God. How did that happen? How did we end up with, out of 320 million Americans, how did we end up with those as the presidential candidates from the main 2 parties? But see, this works against those 2 specifically. Johnson is not as bad as Hillary and Trump. 4 years under Johnson would be better than 4 years under Hillary or Trump. See, we've covered Trump by himself now. We've covered everybody, like Castle and Jill Stein and anybody else who gets thrown into the mix there. And now we've targeted specifically Hillary and Trump. And as usual, I know it sounds a lot like a lesser of evils argument, but see, it can't be because he's from a third party. So it's totally different. Reason number 5 is that without Gary Johnson, we wouldn't be able to win the White House. And I know what you're thinking. Gary Johnson doesn't look like he's going to win the White House. He's only polling at 10%, and the Libertarian Party has surpassed those numbers before. I know, and I know that we can easily say, yeah, but if we had nominated McAfee or Austin Peterson, then we would be polling at 40% right now, and we would have an even better shot of landing in the White House. But see, that would just be baseless speculation. See, this idea that Johnson is doing better than the other candidates would, That's totally not just baseless speculation. Even though he's only polling at 10%, and even though it's not a huge stretch of the imagination to assume that some of the other candidates would be polling a lot better, we can still assert it without any evidence and without any logic and without any argument because we can. Gary Johnson's the only one with the shot of winning the White House. And I know that Gary Johnson didn't win the White House 4 years ago. And I know that it looks like he's not going to win it this year. But see, what you have to understand is, without Gary Johnson, we wouldn't win the White House. So we need Gary Johnson because otherwise we wouldn't win the White House. And I know that we're not winning the White House, but without Gary Johnson, we wouldn't. So there. Vote for Gary Johnson because nobody else could win the White House. Only he can, even though he hasn't. Now, reason number 6 doesn't apply to everybody, but, I'm transsexual. Gary Johnson doesn't want to discriminate against me, and that's all I care about. I don't care about anything else. Gary Johnson is going to outlaw discrimination against transgender people, and that's good for me. It may be bad for the religious people who have the right to discriminate against me and who are going to have their rights violated, but they're not me, so fuck them. Even though they have the right to discriminate against you, Gary Johnson believes in you so much that he's going to trounce their rights for me. And that's good. That's good. I'm okay with that. I only care about me. I don't care that there might be some religious people who have their rights violated, who lose the right to choose with whom they associate and with whom they don't associate. I don't care about them. So fuck them. Gary Johnson's going to help me, and that's all I care about. That's the sole reason that I should vote for Gary Johnson, because I'm transsexual. Policy doesn't matter. None of that shit matters. The only thing that matters is he going to discriminate against transsexuals? And the answer is no. So, I should vote for Gary Johnson, and so should you. Reason number 7, of course, is that if you don't vote for Gary Johnson, then you are responsible for Trump and Hillary becoming the president. Yeah, see, I know, let me stop you, because I know that we tend to reject that argument, and that Gary Johnson himself has been saying for months now that a vote for Gary Johnson is not a vote for Trump, and a vote for Jill Stein is not a vote for Hillary. I got that backwards. It doesn't matter. But people who advocate the main two parties have been saying that for quite a while. They've been saying that if you vote for Gary Johnson, then you're basically voting for Hillary. And if you vote for Jill Stein, then you're basically voting for Trump. But see, they're the main parties. It's totally different when we're talking about a third party. If you don't vote for Gary Johnson, then yeah, you are voting for Trump. You are voting for Hillary if you don't vote for Gary Johnson. I know it doesn't work when the main parties try to do it to third parties, but when third parties do it in reverse, it's totally different. It's totally applicable now. Even though it's not valid when they use that argument, when we use it, it's totally different. Now, obviously, I want to apologize. My voice is really sore. I've been talking all fucking day. Obviously, everything I just said is facetious. I mean, these are ridiculous arguments. That is the best that people have put forward. One guy went to ad hominem. I mean, that tends to be what they do. McAfee is a sore loser. I'm just a crybaby. Fine. I don't care. Refute what I said. But these are the champions of Gary Johnson coming to my video and putting forward these arguments. These are their arguments for their presidential candidate. This is the Libertarian Party. This is the party with the best ideas in human history. the Libertarian Party is the political party with the best ideas in human history. And the best argument that they can put forward for their presidential candidate is this shit that I just said. I mean, if that doesn't tell you how badly astray they have gone because of the people who made these comments, then I totally understand why John McAfee gave up on the party. I totally understand why lots of libertarians are giving up on the party. When you're arguing pragmatism over principle and claiming membership in the Libertarian Party, there is a huge problem. Because God, the founders of libertarianism spoke out against that constantly. They never advocated that. They always insisted principle over pragmatism. They would never have endorsed choosing pragmatism over principle. And here we have the Libertarian Party and libertarians who don't seem to understand anything about libertarianism, saying that libertarians are anti-discrimination. No. Libertarians are pro-freedom. You know? We recognize that people have the right to choose who they associate with and who they don't. It's tremendously frustrating. This is the Libertarian Party. This is the Libertarian Party. And the best arguments that they can put forward for their candidate is shit that they themselves have spent decades refuting. It's disgraceful, is what it is. It's disgraceful and it's disgusting. And I don't have the slightest idea how to fix it. I mean, we're way outnumbered. I mean, just look at the likes to dislikes ratio on my last video. Likes are way outnumbered. And even though the video has been shared at places like Reason Magazine and Rational Thinker and places like that, and it has gotten support away from YouTube, the fact remains that we're drastically outnumbered. I mean, we can't even get Bill Weld kicked out of the party. And he's totally not libertarian. He's literally just a Republican. And we can't get him kicked out of the party. We can't get the nomination retracted from him. That's how little control we have over the direction of the Libertarian Party. And it's because people like that took it from us. Because they never bothered to learn what libertarianism is. They think they know. They think it's common sense. They think it can just be, they think they can figure it out from the gut. So they never bother to read about it. They never bother to learn the principles because they think they know. People say that we need Gary Johnson because only a moderate will win the White House. Really? I'm pretty sure Gary Johnson got his ass kicked 4 years ago. I don't think that Gary Johnson has won a single election as a libertarian. So this argument that we need Gary Johnson to win is patently absurd. He's not winning. He hasn't won. And if you say that, you know, he reached 10% and we wouldn't have done that otherwise, I will respond with what McAfee would be polling at 40% right now. And I wouldn't be able to demonstrate that, but you can't demonstrate yours either. We don't know how McAfee would be doing right now. And we don't know how that compares to what Johnson is doing. We don't know if Johnson is what's holding us back. But I would wager the guess that Johnson is what is holding us back. That you people who have sacrificed the principles in the name of pragmatism, you're the reason why we're only polling at 10%. Because nothing distinguishes us now from the Republican Party. We're identical to it now. So fuck your pragmatism. Become the next Republican Party. That's clearly what you want to do. But how dare you destroy the libertarian name to do it? Now people think that this bullshit that you're peddling is libertarianism. We're outliers. We true libertarians. We people who understand the principles and who advocate the principles. We're outliers in our own political party. We're heretics now. You have made us heretics in our own political party. And you're okay with that. You don't see that as a problem?